What's up, guys? Welcome back to Everyday Money. Today I want to talk about getting my first investment property, the process I went through to get that, and just the steps that I took and all the things that we did in order to get and rent and then sell our first investment property. So I first got into real estate investing. It was right around shortly after the real estate crash in '08, and a friend of mine at work was talking about getting into it. He was doing a little bit on the side. He was also working on getting his real estate license, and after talking with him for a while, I decided that it was something that I was interested in, something that I had the skill set and the knowledge to do. I'd already been a homeowner for a while, pretty handy guy, so I figured if I couldn't hire stuff out, I could fix things myself and whatever. And so I decided to go down the path of looking at some real estate investments. So to get started with that, I had to come up with a whole bunch of different items that I had to get done before I was ready to go out looking for stuff. And the first thing that I did was that I pitched this idea to a couple of partners, those being my wife and my dad. My wife mainly because, you really have to have your spouse on board with this. This is going to take a lot of time. It's going to take finances and it's going to take a lot of stuff from you. And if your spouse isn't on board with that, that makes it pretty hard. When I went to my dad, I wanted to have somebody with me, not to share necessarily the financial partnership, although it was nice only having to come up with half the money myself. But I needed somebody that I could trust, that was also very good with home stuff, repairs, knew a lot about homes as well, and could share the management duties with me. So for example, if I was out of town or doing something and something came up, I had somebody else on my team that had a vested interest in the property available to handle those sorts of things. So I got my partners lined up, and the next thing that I had to do was that I needed to write a business plan. And a lot of folks may not think that this is important if you're just buying your first rental building, or you just only have aspirations to have, one or two or three, or just, a few buildings. But it's going to be important if you want to get a mortgage from a bank, because when you go to the banks and you say, listen, I would like for you to give me a whole bunch of money. I'm going to purchase a building that I'm not going to live in. So if I don't make the payments on it and you come and foreclose on it, it's really not that big a deal to me, other than, a hit to my credit score. And I also have no experience whatsoever in this field. So go ahead and give me that loan. They're going to look at you and probably laugh you out of the room. So when I thought about that, I put together a business plan, and I didn't go to business school. I just put together the things what I wanted to do in this business. I wanted to seek out single-family residential buildings between X and Y dollar. We plan on rehabbing them to reposition them as long-term buy and hold rentals. And there was a growth period, then there was a mature phase. And looking back on it, it was all very, it wasn't, where we are now. But just having something on paper that shows that you have thought about what you're going to be doing, and you have taken into consideration, risks and fallback plans and cash reserves and things of that nature. When you go to a bank for the first time and you have no experience in this field, and you can slide that across the table and then pitch yourself and your own income and your own experiences with buildings or property management or any type of management, it'll really help them decide to give you a loan for a non-owner occupied building, because that is a much riskier loan for them. And then the third thing that I had to do when I was getting the front end of this done, before we had found a property or whatever, was I had to get a bank lined up. I wanted to use other people's money as much as I could for this deal, but I did want to just get conventional financing. I wasn't interested in a hard money loan or some sort of exotic thing where I take out like a $75,000 limit on a credit card or something. I just wanted a conventional fixed rate, fixed term loan, and so I wanted to go with a bank. Now, for the amount that we're going to talk about later that I financed, no regular bank was going to do this for me. And a lot of times, if you're buying non-owner occupied property for investment, you are going to have a tough time with the big banks, the Bank of America's, U.S., Fifth Third, whatever. It'll just be more of a hassle for you, and they may not do it at all, especially if it's your first deal. So what I did is I sought out a community bank, a very small bank that only has a few branches. Those folks are more likely to do a portfolio loan where they make the loan and then they hold it on their own portfolio in their books in their bank. They don't sell it off to one of the federal insurers of loans. They just don't do that. And they will be able to do loans that are not conforming. They are just whatever the circumstances are. They can make up whatever they want as far as their lending rules and qualifications. So I sought out that bank and I slid my business plan across the table and I said, I have all this experience and I have partners and we're good to go. And we secured the go ahead for financing up to a certain level. I can't even remember what it was, but it was way more than we needed at the time. Not only working with these smaller banks are you able to get the loan, but they're also usually very good about what you're doing. They know the community that you're in, especially if you're buying in a community that they're local to. They may be able to set you up with an escrow account for repairs and things of that nature, and they can just do things that the big banks just won't do. So after we had went out and got all of our front end stuff together, our paperwork, our financing partnerships, everything, and even though we did partner with my wife and my father, we did a full-on partnership agreement that was done by an attorney so that there is no gray area as far as anything, especially if anyone wanted to leave the company or whatever. It spells out everything, and I highly recommend that you get a partnership agreement, an official, legit deal. Pay the money for that up front so that there's no hard feelings in the end if things go south or whatever. But we went out and started looking for properties, and we formed our company in 2013, and we looked for like a year in really some of the worst places possible. We were looking at cheap houses in terrible locations, and we made some offers, and they all end up falling through. Usually on inspection, we would just find just terrible stuff wrong with them that we didn't see right away. And so the second year, we started looking more in suburbs that had been, like turn of the century type of suburbs that had been hit particularly hard by the economic downturn, and the prices were just dirt cheap, but we were familiar with the locations and we knew like which areas of the cities were nicer and had potential for growth, and which areas just were a lost cause and had been for 50, 60 years. So we ended up settling on this 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. And unfortunately, I don't have any video of it because I just really never thought about taking any video. But we took a bunch of pictures. And the thing about this place was that it was listed for like $22,000. It only had one picture from the front, but it just looked good from the picture. So we went and looked at it. And I'll splash some pictures throughout this thing of all the stuff that I'm talking about because I think I have enough pictures. But on the inside, it was actually a really nice place, and it had new vinyl windows. In this house, it had a stone foundation, so it's probably from the very early 1900s. But it had vinyl windows, new vinyl siding, a fully renovated kitchen. When I show you guys the pictures here, we didn't upgrade anything, not the appliances, cabinets, nothing. We did end up putting new carpet in, but we didn't even paint the interior, is how good the condition this place was in. But it had a new furnace, it had a new air conditioner, new Romex electric that replaced most of the knob and tube wiring. I mean, when we were walking through this place, we were like, wow, this is great. But of course, any house that's listed for $22,000 isn't perfect, obviously. So here's what was wrong with it. The electric and copper plumbing in the basement had been stolen, but it was like a wet bandit's job. They had only taken the small diameter wiring, like the 12 and 14 gauge wiring. They only had taken the half-inch copper tubing, which is crazy because there was all sorts of 3/4 inch copper everywhere that was left. All of the line sets for the air conditioner were still there and intact. all of the large wiring for the air conditioners, the electric stove, things of that nature. All that they left in there. They didn't tear up any of the drywall. So it was I don't know what the deal was, but we were able to get all of that replaced very cheaply. That we had an electrician come out and redo all the wiring because they had just cut it off at the floor level. He redid all the wiring in the basement for like $1,000, including permits and inspections and the whole deal. I just redid the plumbing real quick with CPVC pipe where the copper was gone from, and that was all in like 1 day's time. In addition, we put some insulation in the attic because it was an uninsulated attic, and we do care about our tenants' utility bills, so we put some insulation up in the attic. We cleaned everything and put new carpet down, and that is really it. So with the $18,500 purchase price and all the repairs that we did, we are into it for, I don't know, like $22,000. Again, I could go back on the software, but a few $100 here and there is not going to make much difference. We had to take a 15-year mortgage at 6% interest rate because it was considered a commercial mortgage, and this is a way that they can just essentially do whatever they want with the terms of the mortgage. And we had to put 30% down, so we ended up with a mortgage of like, let's see what I have on the phone here. It's like $15,400, something in that range, for a payment of like $130 a month. I mean, it was stupid cheap for the building that we had. So with taxes and everything, I think we were somewhere around like $150 or $180 a month, all in on this place. It was very inexpensive for us to get started in. And what we did is we ended up renting it to a couple for about $725 a month for somewhere around 18 months before they moved on. I believe they bought a house. They're real nice folks. And we ended up getting about $13,000 in rent off of that. Once those folks had moved out, we had looked at what the place might be worth, and it was somewhere in the mid-40s. And we were like, well, I think it's time to sell this, get our money out of it, and be able to reposition that into another asset. And it was another real estate deal that we did. So we listed the house for $45,000, I think it was. And in about 6 weeks or so, I want to say, again, this is going back, 6 years now, 6 or 5 years, we had it sold for $42,000. So after our realtor commission of 6%, we were down to about $39,480, and then minus the $22,000 initial investment, gets us a profit on the building of about $17,480, plus the $13,000 that we had made in rental income, for about a net or a gross profit of $30,480. And then again, this is on a house that was $22,000. We put down 30%, which is, I don't know, somewhere around $7,000 or something like that, just off the top of my head. And so to end up at the end with about $30,480 in total, profits altogether, is pretty solid. Now, I didn't minus our mortgage payments because, again, that's like a very minimal amount we were able to write off, obviously, taxes and insurance. So a lot of that is offset by depreciation and just typical expenses with running a real estate company and all the major tax benefits that you get with that, which I should probably do another video on. I just kind of discounted all of that stuff, but for the most part, this was an awesome first property. It gave us a bunch of money that we were able to roll over and buy a nice 3-family apartment building that we have held ever since then. And I will do a video on that where I'll be able to get more down deep into the numbers because I'll have them, right in front of me. So if you're interested in that, again, subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss it in the future. Now, a lot of this success that we had with this property was a lot of right place, right time type of deal. We made our money on the purchase, which is when you're buying real estate, I've always said that you make money when you buy the thing by getting it for the lowest price possible. If we hadn't purchased it for $18,500, we paid more like $30 or something like that, our margins at the end would have been much narrower. that's how I got started in real estate investing. That is the nickel tour of the things that I did from start to finish on the first property that I had purchased. I'm going to do a whole bunch more stuff on real estate investing, such as screening tenants, just how to be an awesome landlord, how we bought another house in an apartment building, and just all sorts of other real estate related investing type of stuff. So like I said, be sure to subscribe for that. Be sure to smash that like button for me. It'll really help this video and this channel. It'll also bring related stuff like this to you, not necessarily even from me, but from other channels as well. I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you guys in the next